the things moms and parents do, it's like invisible work. Like the food's just in the refrigerator. The food's just in the pantry. The food's just hot and ready. The backpack's packed. The school supplies are there. Like they kind of know you do it. But I think, especially as they get older and you were just out of commission, he was like, Mom, you do a lot of stuff. Hi, I'm Jen.
Hey, I'm Suzanne. Friend, today we are actually going to do a follow-up episode or a version 2 of when I was sick and got the flu and how version 1.0 of me and version 2.0 of me handled it. And the first in episode 15, which you can go back and check that out, it was all about me personally and how I dealt with things differently in 2.0. And then what I think is really important, and Jen and I talk about it a lot, is how our actions kind of have a ripple effect on our family. And so in this episode, we're going to talk about my experience and my family's experience and how things were really different from 1.0 to 2.0.
Love it.
Yeah. So just as a quick recap, basically I got the flu a couple weeks ago. And it was one of those where you're like down and out. And version 1.0 of Suzanne would have been trying to be all the things to all the people, right? Like I wouldn't have laid down. I would get up. I would leave the cleanliness or the whatever container that was my room that kept my germs at bay. And I would go and act like I was just regular mom. Like I wasn't sick and like feeling like death warmed over, right? Like I'd go out and I'd
pop
do
a few
lunches
pills and
laundry.
keep acting normal.
Yeah, and do laundry. And like basically that's what I was modeling for my kids was I'm like a robot. I'm not a human being. Yeah. You don't need to do anything differently because mom's here. So And inside, I'd be so resentful because I'd be like, doesn't anyone see I'm dying here? I'm dying.
I'm dying.
No one cares.
And nobody cares. I wonder why they don't. I don't think it's that they don't care.
Yes.
I think it's maybe because you're not giving them enough.
Yes. Yeah. 1.0
How dare
did not
they?
see any of that.
No.
And I was so worried that like, their life would fall apart in some way. Like that if I didn't make sure everything was perfect, like they didn't have the right lunch that day or the snack they wanted, God forbid, or the sweatshirt they wanted to wear, like the ridiculousness now looking back and like so many of our things, right? Like when we really think about what our intentions are versus what actually happens. My intention is to make our family as comfortable as possible.
Of course.
Right? Like God forbid. Yes. Like the nurturer, you want to take care of everybody
to have their stuff. It's like, it's your love language. Most moms are like that. Like, I just want you to have your stuff. I want you to feel cared for. I want you to know mom's got you. I've got your schedule. And then at some point, it just becomes out of control. And then I think what we talked about in the previous episode, and just to refresh it, is you had all of that, all of getting those things done and doing those things for them attached to your worth.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not doing these things, like who am I to them?
Yeah. Well, and what kind of a mother am I? I mean,
exactly.
Unless you're actively doing these things, like it's not even a love language. It means it is straight your worth. Like you're
your
not
level
worthy.
of sacrifice is equal to your love of your child, which I think is like a whole like societal thing that just popped into my mind while you're sitting here talking about it. And I'm like, it's like your level of sacrifice does not equal your love for your child, especially self-sacrifice. You're sick.
Yeah. Well, and
we're just talking about sick right now.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to the cooking episode, right? Where we were talking about and we'll put that in the show notes. But like if I didn't make my kids a meal that they loved, then I had failed as a mother, as opposed to I put a nutritious meal in front of you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it has nothing to do with it. I have done my role. And it's the same thing here, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I realize now, and then I'd be upset that, especially as they got older, of, well, why aren't they stepping up? Like, why aren't they checking in on me? Why aren't they, oh, here's a good one. Why aren't they telling me to go back to bed and just taking care of me?
And then you wonder, why do they fall apart when I mess up or something doesn't go their way? Like, well, because, hello, you've made their life perfect. Like the things within your control, right? Like,
yeah,
your part in their life, mom does all these things. And so, like, if you mess up, it's like a big deal because the expectation is mom does all these things. And now what am I going to do? Like, you've rendered them helpless.
100%. And yet, in my everyday life, especially as 1.0, I would say, well, no, I want my kids to be independent and I want them to stand on their own 2 feet. And I do a lot of things thinking that I was giving that to them and yet helping. And then in the back of my mind being like, but they didn't quite get it right. And, oh, well, I'll just help with this part or I'll help with that part. And you start to realize like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Not only am I not helping my family, but am I harming them?
You're hindering their growth and their development and, you know, like just their ability to even have confidence in themselves to do it or to do it and fail or to get it half right or whatever.
And then I thought about too, like not even as a mom, but like whoever they have in future partners.
Oh, jeez.
What do you expect? What are they going to expect of them? Like if this is the way I'm always acting in life.
Suzanne has 2 boys. So
yeah, 2 boys.
Yeah. So moms with daughters out of there. Yeah. We're all thinking the same thing. Please.
Right?
No, she's
and
because I'm not raising my daughter to do all that stuff. I'm raising her to be a nurturing, loving mom, but not a self-sacrificing one. Like top of the priority list for me is like, no, ma'am, we are not self-sacrificers. No.
Yeah. Think of how many people are raising self-sacrificers, right?
100%.
And then me here thinking I'm this, you know, independent, you know, woman. I'm a lawyer. I have a law firm. Like, you know,
all of the things we tell ourselves.
Hear me roar.
Yeah.
You know, and then what am I modeling here?
Yeah. And out the other side of your mouth, you're like, why doesn't anyone care about me? Why doesn't anyone take care of me? Like, what about me? What about me?
And it's just those moments, by the way, where you cringe. I cringe.
Cringe when you look back?
When I look back, I cringe at how those unconscious thoughts led to all of this behavior. And at the same time, I'm like,
you didn't know any better.
And I have to and just like let it go. Be like, how can I move forward differently? But I think that's a key for our friend listening too.
Yeah.
You're gonna have probably a lot of, if you really start looking, you're probably gonna have a few, if not a lot, of cringeworthy moments. And letting that go is important. And
absolutely.
Especially if you're someone who wants to do things quote unquote right. And that would be me raising my hand here. It's really hard to acknowledge that you have not been doing things right.
And I would say you're saying the word cringy, but what you really mean is shameful.
100%.
You have shame.
That's a great, yes.
That you used to be that way. And if you struggle with shame, it will keep coming up because the past is has a great way of sticking around and taking up rent for a really long time. And the reality is, most of the time, no one even remembers it. But you're busy just beating yourself up every chance you get because you could have done something different. You did something you're a little ashamed of. You acted in a way, you thought in a way. And in this case, like, no one heard your thoughts.
Nope. But they were sure debilitating.
Because we do this podcast so that everybody gets to hear all of our crazy thoughts. But I think the point is the whole reason we decided to do this podcast is because we're like, everyone's thinking it. Everyone's doing it. Not everyone. Most people that are being real with themselves.
Yeah.
This is all going on,
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
So here we are talking about the cringeworthy moments of our life.
And then your sister pointing out, actually, that's shame. That's
shame. Shame.
Like, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. And yes,
Well,
friend, when she's in trouble, call her Jennifer, not Jen.
I wanted you to see that it was shame, and then that's why it's hard to let go. Because I think if we do something cringy, we're kind of like, oh, well, like how we used to dress, for instance. Like when we look at old pictures, we're like, wow, I thought I was something special in that little gem. And it's cringy, but I don't have any shame around it, right? Like I'm like, whatever. That was cool.
It's actually a really important distinction. And I think it's, yeah, for sure. No.
But if it's something that's still taking up a little bit of rent, then it's got something else tied to it.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And I do. I'm still working through it of being like, hey, Suzanne, it's okay. Like letting it go. Like just like all the other unconscious thoughts. It comes in.
Yes.
Okay. Let it go.
Yes.
And I think part of what's making it at least a little easier to let go is knowing how I am now when I'm sick, which is,
yes, do tell us.
I know that resting is important, as we were mentioning before. Like for me, resting is very productive.
Yes.
I lock myself in my room with my cooties, and I know that the world is going to be okay without me. I have enough evidence now that my family will step up. Because before, I wasn't giving anyone an opportunity to step up. I wasn't giving anyone an opportunity to say, hey, Mom or Suzanne, like, do you need anything? Can we take care of you?
Can I take care of you?
Yeah. And to feel seen, right? So now I had all three of them coming in and checking on me regularly.
Yeah, of course.
Like, hey, can we get you anything? And I'll still tell you when I'm sick, I don't want to be around anyone else. I don't want to talk to anyone else. Like, but that's
not the
they
point.
Came in.
Yes.
I was going to say, I felt seen. I
felt cared for.
I felt cared for.
Yeah.
And what it also did, and I think this is the difference and the ripple effect. These kids that tell me like, well, what about my lunch? And I need help, right? They're making their lunches every day. They're getting all their stuff ready for practices and games. They're taking care of their homework. They are cleaning up the house. I come out, they've all eaten. Now, have they eaten all of the food that I had, meal prepped in my brain? No.
So that's what I was going to say. And what I also want you to bring up, because I can hear it and I can see it. And obviously we had a separate conversation about this in the carpool line, is you let go of how it's supposed to be, how Mom does it, how Suzanne does it, what it's supposed to look like. Like you officially were like, if somebody's late, it's okay. I don't like it. If somebody misses something, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People, it doesn't matter.
And
this is not your whole life.
I think the reason it didn't stick out to me as much is I've worked so hard on that particular thing for years to be like, Suzanne, let it go. Like, it's okay. Okay, if we're late once in a while, it's okay. And it's funny you brought it up because I was like, like 1.0 would have been completely
because it was the perfection
out.
Of it. Like, our family's on time. Our family always has the right uniform and the socks. We never forget stuff. Like the things that you do out of your gold star chasing and perfectionism and all the ways it infiltrates your life. And then you're like, really? Is it a reflection of me and my family that while I had the flu, one or both of my kids were late to school and got a tardy? No, ma'am.
Yeah.
No, who cares? That's why they have tardies. The whole point is this a pattern of behavior or is this a specific event? The flu is a specific event. This is not who you are as people. Because that's the other thing. We make what we do. This, again, totally could go down a whole nother rabbit hole. But we make what we do our identity. Like, I'm a mom. Like, and you just said it. Like, I do all this stuff. And I do this. And I do that. And we don't show up late. And we, right? That's who we are, which is great. But you can't be that 100% of the time. Life happens.
And I think also like, look how much more now my kids know they can be independent. They know they can take care of stuff. And it's actually like, good job, mom. Like, look, your kids are doing what you want them to do, to be independent and productive and getting out there and doing things and knowing and giving them confidence to do that stuff. And also like motivation. One of them made something to eat and came in and was like so proud because he was like, Mom, check it out. Not once had he done that before.
Exactly.
But you realize, like, what I realized is, oh, I'm giving them the opportunity to do these things. And even if they do fail, like they are late or something happens, again, what I've realized is like, it's okay.
And those are learning opportunities.
Bad family. Yes. But it's like, I think we just get these like unconscious thoughts in our head about how we're supposed to do things and like what it means to be a mom. And it gets so confusing.
They're like
and it gets so confusing.
Like,
yeah.
I
and
agree.
You're trying to figure out, what that role is. And so the more and more I do this, just the more opportunities I've had to see my family grow and the more opportunities I've had to just rest. And then when I do come to my to-do list, also, I don't feel so stressed out because not only have I rested, but my family's okay.
Everybody's fine.
And if those two things are happening, I mean, there's not much more I need in the world. Like the rest of the stuff I've realized, like there's very few things that are so important they have to get done or that don't have an excuse of, hey, I had the flu.
Yeah.
And
like
I also
anyone
have told me that.
Yeah. And I have one more question because I think I know the answer, but it's just one more, I guess, like gold star for my gold star chaser. That is what you told me that your son said in the car, like driving to school after you were finally back up and running, and what he noticed and said to you. Do you remember? He was saying, he was like, Mom, thank you so much. You do so much stuff for us. Like it gave your family the opportunity to actually, because it's like invisible. They always talk about it's invisible work. The things moms and parents do, it's like invisible work. Like the kid, like, the food's just in the refrigerator. The food's just in the pantry. The food's just hot and ready. The backpack's packed. The school supplies are there. Like they kind of know you do it. But I think, especially as they get older and you were just out of commission, that he was like, Mom, you do a lot of stuff.
I can't believe I forgot that. I'm like,
I mean, gosh. And it was like, you don't remember? It's kind of a big deal. And I think, talk about being seen and heard.
Yeah. And I did.
For what you do
so
as a mom. Yes. Yes. That was the whole reason you called me, is you were like, you're never gonna guess what happened today. And I was like, oh my God, what?
Episode, I was like, oh, we got to do a podcast episode. I finally felt like seen and heard, and my kid actually recognized it. And yet, but again, I will also go back to, I catalog the negative still much more easily than I catalog the positive. Right?
For sure.
So
work in progress.
Another reason
work in progress.
To keep writing those things down, because I can't tell you guys in that moment, like how proud I was of not only myself, because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like growth on his path. This is the good stuff. This is the connection. This is the feeling of like, he gets it. Like I'm doing a good job as a parent. And
all of my hard work, all of your healing, all of the choices, the new choices you're making. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. This whole thing you're talking about here is all the things that are possible when you decide that you're just going to start doing one thing different, another thing different, right? And that even when you're failing in the middle of it, there's no end. It's just sort of like you're just constantly trying to be better. And then you look up and it's like, oh my gosh, did he just tell me how much I do? Did he just tell me thank you?
Calling you right afterwards and being like, oh, guess what? Like anyone that's a teenage boy, especially, like, and again, I don't have a girl, but like, for him to acknowledge that is,
like,
and
then your younger one was like, I'm so glad you're back, Mom. Like, okay, the boss is back in town, right?
then don't mind you, I was still fighting them the next day about like breakfast and lunch and all the things.
But
right?
of course, but like everybody was so excited to have you back.
It was true.
For all the things you do for them, you know, all the unseen things and all the things you were stressed about, like everybody was fine. They were just like, she's back, like with excitement.
Yeah. And I can even like right now, you guys, just the feeling like in my chest is such like a happy, like tingly, you know,
warm,
oftentimes
fuzzy.
I'll talk about like that, like torrent of anxiety. And this was just such a nice moment. And again, just an acknowledgement of you've come so far, Suzanne, and look at the ripple effect on your family.
Yeah.
I mean,
what would you say are the, like, I guess the key takeaway or two? I mean, I know we talked about a bunch of stuff because we're always, you know, slightly off topic.
I think the main one is I wasn't giving my family an opportunity to step up.
Yeah.
When I was trying to control everything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you try to be everything to everyone at all times, they didn't have an opportunity to step up. They didn't have an opportunity to do anything. I mean, not to mention the fact I wasn't resting myself. And then I think too, like, it felt so good to know that I mattered to them and they wanted to take care of me. Like,
I was
now
going to say,
I
you
know
allowed them to care for you.
Yes. And it felt so good to have, like, my husband's always been a caretaker, but to have my two boys also, and to know that that's the human beings that they're going to be. And all I had to do was take care of myself and let go.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty powerful.
I agree. So I say the question for our listener today is, are you leaving space for your family or your partner to take care of you? Because I think we could say when you're sick, but the reality is it kind of spans your whole life. Because if you're that way when you're sick, 99% sure you're that way all the time. So again, do you leave space for your family or loved ones to care for you? That's it for today.
We hope you found something in my story today.
See you next time. Same place, same sisterhood.
Bye. Bye.